Team Fortress 2 was released in 2007, but have you ever wondered what people thought of the game at the time that it came out? Well, I definitely have. So, I've gathered the first 100 reviews on Steam so that we could read them together and learn what people thought of the game in 2010, because Steam reviews didn't exist at the time that TF2 released. Let's do it. Howdy, in-game Hoof here. So, I've already set up the first 100 reviews here in 2Fort, so let's go ahead and take a look and see if anything interesting speaks to us, shall we? Let's do it. Alright, so the first area I think we should explore is right here in the courtyard. I've organized all of the positive reviews into this area, and as I expected, it was an overwhelming majority of positive reviews. But that's not all. It's not just this particular area of the courtyard. It also spills down here into this little hallway, and right here as well, we've got a bunch of them in this area as well. So I say we just start reading a bunch of them and see which ones stick out to us. You should totally buy this game. TF2 is a great game. Might be hard for newcomers to learn how to play without them ragging. I think that's supposed to be raging, which I think is fair to say. I'm not really good at TF2 if you've paid attention to any of the gameplay that I sometimes put into my videos, but I think that is accurate. TF2 is very simple. You can watch TF2 and you can see and understand visually a lot of the time what is happening. But as most people say, it's easy to learn, hard to master. I like this comment because it is short, but it does have a lot to say. Nice game with a little face there. If you don't have this game, you're really missing out on one of the greatest benefits of having a Steam account. You can't get much better with a team-based FPF. Seriously. A lot of these reviews have a good amount of hours, I would say. I don't know what we would consider a normal amount of hours into a game, especially considering the fact that TF2 is or was a live service game. I mean, some of these people are in the thousands, well over into the thousands. We already see someone right here who's about to hit 4K. This game stays fresh, even after 3 years. Since all of these reviews are older, I was wondering if we would run into any reviews that are acting like time capsules. And here we go, there's a blatantly time-stamped review right there. But don't worry, I think there will definitely be more instances where time is clearly a factor in some of these reviews. Although I will say I think most of the time, even the positive reviews are still somewhat applicable in modern day. But this one, of course, I would not say is still applicable. I don't know that the game necessarily stays fresh, and obviously it's been longer than 3 years. Most fun. Can be the most competitive FPS MMO ever. You better have this game. I think that's interesting that people are, whether this is a joke or completely serious, bringing up the comparison that this game is an FPS MMO. I doubt that that existed at the time, but I think that that does exist now, and I can see kind of what they mean by that. But look here, this person has 7,000 hours. That's a lot. That is a ton. Very interesting. If you like first-person shooters, Pixar movie-style art, and hats, then check out this game. I think that is a succinct review and that it's still probably applicable today. The best bang for the buck out there, which means now that it's free to play, there is no reason not to have this in your library. 3 or 5 or 6 years on, and still my most enjoyed game. See, this is why I'm a little bit confused, because it says here this was posted on October 25th, 2010, but TF2 didn't come out in 2003, did it? I thought it came out in 2007. Yeah, 2007. So I don't understand. Maybe this was a review that was edited after the fact, which is very likely. Team Fortress 2 is a really fun game. I really love the teamwork. Wink emoji. One of the best games ever made. Is that true? I think a lot of people might agree with that. Best damn game I've played online. Want fun? Get TF2. It's a huge laugh and has unique gameplay. Awesome game, worth the money. Honestly, especially in modern day, I think this is extremely applicable. There's just not a ton of games anymore that just feel fun. Like just for the fun of it, you know? You can still get into a game in TF2 today and you'll find people just messing around, sometimes chatting. And I don't know, maybe I just don't play a lot of games, which is, you know, that's a possibility. So do let me know if I'm wrong, but it really does feel like TF2 is rare in that area. Anyways, any shooter I play always ends up getting compared back to this. The classes fit together very well, the weapons are satisfying, and the visual style makes the game look both fun to look at and easy to read. Plus, Valve is constantly dumping new weapons, maps, and game types into the game. Is good. Now, most of this is still applicable, except Valve constantly dumping new weapons, maps, and game types into the game. I don't think that is applicable anymore. It's awesome. If you don't have it, buy it now. I said now. TF2 rules the school. I think that's a little funny one right there. I wonder how old this person was when they wrote that. But that is definitely something a younger me might consider saying in a Steam review. Just amazing. get it. Here's another one talking about the teamwork. Someone just saying that they love it. However, this person only played it for like 50 hours. Cheap game, yet worth so much. Thanks, Valve. It's interesting. We're getting some reviews that are clearly predating the free-to-play as well. Definitely should own this game. Best multiplayer class-based first-person tactical shooter that I know of. If you don't have it, then you are missing out on what I would rate most addicting non-MMO game. I do think that a lot of the Source games and Valve games are pretty addicting. If you don't own this game, I don't respect you as a human being. Just kidding. But seriously, this game is a must-have. Addendum. The game is now free to play, so you do not have any excuse to have not at least tried it. This person's really trying to get us to play this game, even going so far as to say that you are a worthless human being if you haven't tried it yet. Can't say that I disagree. I mean, it's a really good game. It's worth giving it a try. Why not? But anyways, to those of you who don't have this game, buy it. It is well worth your money and time even after it's 3 years of age. It's active, always updated with new content, events, and much more. You'll never have as much fun online with any other game after you play TF2. It's so unfortunate reading some of these comments back then. Back in the day, I mean, I never even played it when it first came out. I only ever played it a good amount of time after. That's when I first started playing. I think it was still active at the time, but I didn't really understand what was going on. Must have been the tail end, for me at least. But imagine being in it when things were actively changing. That must have been really fun. It must have been a really interesting and exciting time. If you got tired of MW2 like most of us, then this is a wonderful game. But be warned, it does require skill. I agree with this review here. I often do get very tired of the Call of Duty games. And yeah, again, it does require skill. I'm also not the best at this game, but I'd like to be good. This game, by itself, is worth a Steam account. I think you could say that about most of the Valve games. Half-Life, 100%. Left 4 Dead 2, 100%. Team Fortress 2, in my case, you know, if it's your thing, I think 100%. I mean, Portal as well, 100%. They do have some little stinkers, but most of the time, I think that this statement would apply. Now, if the bots were still a huge issue, maybe not for TF2, but as far as I'm aware, it sounds like they're mostly under control. One of the best team-based multiplayer games ever, with a huge and ever-growing arsenal of weapons and items. You can customize your class to the way you play. That is pretty accurate. That is still accurate. I say that still applies. Team Fortress 2 is where amazing happens. 5,000 hours on record. Oh wow, that's crazy right there. My first online game and one of my favorites. I've had this game for over 5 years. I bought it back since before it was free to play, and I keep coming back to it every now and again. Valve really cares about this game. They've been keeping it going with new content since its release. The game is fun. Even if I'm not getting a good KD, the game style is great, as it is matching its sense of humor. I'll definitely remember this game, a serious must-play. Again, this one is a bit dated because of the ongoing support that they are claiming, but I can relate to this definitely. I mean, I keep coming back to it every now and again. It's very accurate for me as well. I definitely go through phases with gaming in general. I mean, now that I'm doing videos, it's a bit different. I think that I've been able to sustain my interest in the game just because I'm interacting with it in a bunch of different ways. And to be honest, and to be fair, a lot of the videos that I'm doing, I do enjoy them. It is fun to interact with the game in these ways, but I don't know that I would have thought to make fun in these ways if not for the videos. And what's most pleasantly surprising about all this to me is that it is fun. I mean, my Find in Detail series, I mean, that's fun. I like playing games and being able to just walk around and appreciate them. That is something I'd normally not have thought to do. So I think that it's nice. And again, I think the game is just that good where every once in a while you get the taste for it and you have to come back in for a bit. Give it a good 2 weeks every once in a while. This is a must-have game. If you don't already have it, pick it up when it's on sale. There we go, another old one that predates free-to-play status. Alright, there's a good amount more of these positive reviews. Here are all the really short ones. Great. Yep. Is good. Fun. Best value multiplayer game ever. I definitely think, unironically though, that this is it's still a true statement. I mean, again, look at the current landscape of online shooters. I don't always know how to feel with the gambling aspect of TF2, but if you look at the way that the other games are monetized, I think they're equally as predatory. And while I'm not saying it's a good thing, at least you don't have to engage with the gambling part of things. I guess Fortnite is the only thing I'm really aware of, but cosmetics for Fortnite is like $20. $20 a pop. That is like a whole game right there. And yeah, it can get extremely pricey with TF2 TF2, so maybe it isn't a better of two evils or whatever, but I don't know. I think I'd rather have the option to pay for some cheaper cosmetics because they're less rare than have to pay $20 for every single cosmetic. At the end of the day though, I guess they're both microtransactions. To anyone who doesn't already have this game, a must-have for virtually any FPS fan. More updates than you can shake a stick at, all of which are free, very solid gameplay, good humor, and plenty of hats. Can't go wrong with this one. Yeah, that one's aged. That one's for sure aged. I love hats, so I love this game. It's proper awesome. Great, mega, super, pooper, ultra game. That's a little bit silly right there. Alright, this is the deal. The must-have game for PC is Team Fortress 2. Highest value per dollar on any game I've owned. I think that is still true. Games are getting more expensive. I mean, it's a free-to-play game. Even then, though, I think you can get a lot out of this game, dollar-wise, comparing it to the other modern games. I mean, like I just said, it's $20 per cosmetic, and you can put together a cosmetic set for probably like 10, but then there's stuff that gets really expensive, so I guess it really does just depend. Countless hours of fun. I Spy with My Little Eye, a game that you must buy. That one's a bit funny. Still kicks ass even after all these years. I agree with that one. I think that still applies today. By and large, one of the most entertaining games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. Don't be fooled by the cartoony appearance. It's a complex and rewarding game to master, and you'll have a blast along the way, literally and figuratively. Exactly what a game should be. Challenging, rewarding, and endlessly fun. That's a nice little review right there. I think that's worded pretty nicely. And overall, I think that mostly does apply today. Anybody should play this awesome game. And there's a smiley face. The best shooter ever made. Nuff said. Team Fortress 2 is a must-buy. It's the most fun you'll have being shot at in a long time. TF2 is a perfect online FPS game. This game is possibly the most actively changing game that is perfect. 10 out of 10. Alright, it's not really actively changing anymore, but still positive. After approves, I don't understand what that means. My thought process when I read this is maybe it's an old alias for this person. TF2 is pretty easily the best competitive team FPS there is. The insane weapon, item, and game mode variety pretty much make it peerless. Plus it's free, meaning you're an idiot if you don't like FPSs and somehow don't have TF2. I guess there still is weapon and item variety. And they're right, it is still free, so I think that's still applicable today. Best $20 you'll ever spend on a game. Again, we have another free-to-play review here. And I'll say, I think that if I were to pay $20, I think I still would pay $20 for a game like this. I mean, we still got Call of Duty coming out at, what, $70? And they're still putting in microtransactions and things like that. Seriously, the best game I own. Hours upon hours of fun. I typo recommend this game. Best multiplayer game I've ever played. Okay. Probably one of the most innovative and gratifying shooters of the last 3 years. Can still hold its own against new titles. If you don't own TF2 already, buy it. Hey all, bought this early 2008 and I've been playing it regularly for years now. My partner isn't jealous. She's understanding and accepts how awesome this still is. A little bit of a significant other humor there, although I will admit I don't fully understand it. Not recommended. I've wasted almost 204 days of my life on this game. Don't do the same mistake. Now, I did organize this in the positive area, even though it was a not recommended review, because clearly it's saying that it's very addictive. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. This is awesome. This is Fortress. Team Fortress. Best effing game right there. Best game for money. Not kidding. There is no other multiplayer FPS where you get more in return as for the few bucks you spend on it. Imagine a company selling a product and they'll keep on improving it for free for everyone. They're clearly nuts. And besides all that economic argument, it's hell of a fun playing it. Look at this person here. I have to say that they do seem very naive. But, you know, of course, this is with all the hindsight that we have here in modern day. Looking at all these new free-to-play games and microtransactions, you just wouldn't see someone saying something like this in today's world. Great game that is really fun to play. And that does it for all of the positive reviews. Once again, I think it's a little bit surprising, but not out of the question. It is something that I partially expected, but most of these reviews are actually still somewhat applicable. It is funny seeing the ones that are disconnected because of time, but really the only time I've seen that is when they mention the price of the game or that it's being actively maintained. Otherwise, there's not much that doesn't fit in today's TF2. Alright, let's head over to the criticisms right here. This will be a lot more interesting, I think. Great fun, but your wallet will suffer. Now, I think that this is actually really interesting, mostly because, personally, I've never really interacted with the gambling aspect very much, but I do think that they have a point. Some of the cosmetics are extremely expensive, and so whether this person is talking about it from the gambling side, which, again, that's a way more serious potential issue, or you're talking about it from the side of things where Some of the cosmetics can get extremely expensive, or some of the in-game weapons can also get extremely expensive because of the real-time economy or whatnot. But I do consider this a criticism. Not in the sense that they are criticizing the game, but it does highlight an aspect of the game that I think you could critique it on, or at least me personally. Oh hey, most of the bots are gone. Let's hope it lasts. Yeah, a lot of these reviews here are going to be related to bots. But this one in particular I thought was really interesting because it says here it was posted in 2010. And again, I'm not 100% sure how the Steam review system works. Like, I'm not sure if this is not saying that it's edited when it should say that it was edited. But I'm going to assume that this bot situation was a problem even in 2010. Too many hackers. Here's another one that was posted in 2010. So it has to be this recurrent issue. And that's what's interesting for a fan like me who's coming in and only becoming aware of TF2 so late into its lifespan. I mean, to know that this was a problem even in 2010 it's very interesting. And I'm sure maybe there's other people who maybe are watching this video and are having a similar experience. Man, it's all about items now. Still pretty fun though. Now, I've heard a lot of different things about the history of TF2, and it sounds like in the early days it was really crazy. I mean, I've seen people say in videos that engineers weren't even able to pick up their buildings. I mean, it's insane to think about that. I've also heard that TF2 at one point had a item set mechanic where if you were wearing all of the same items of a set, you'd get some sort of a stat boost, which again, very crazy to imagine that in TF2. And it does sound actively against the nature of TF2 and Valve games, how they design their games. So I do wonder if this is associated with that item set drama. Can't really recommend the game after it got swarmed with bots. Fix it, Valve. Again, this is from 2010. The bots really are just intertwined with Valve's history and TF2's history, it seems. The game is in an unplayable state due to automated griefing bots who one-shot you, spam horrendous things in all chats, and kick you. Absolutely abandoned by the developer. Congratulations, Valve. This is on par with EA now. Again, posted in 2010, and even then we were making fun of EA. That's pretty interesting. Unless there's some issue with this review that I don't know about. Bots are gone now. Ban all the racists. Now, this isn't exactly unique to TF2, but this is an aspect of most online communities, at least in gaming, and at least as far as I'm aware. A lot of them tend to have, I guess, either actually racist people, or people who are interested in getting attention by upsetting people. People who like quote-unquote dark humor, but also don't really understand what that means. I think that still is somewhat applicable, although I will say, while that aspect of TF2 is true, there is still a positive aspect to the community. But keep in mind, even though I've been playing this game for so long, I've only began to immerse myself in the community recently, so maybe my thoughts on this will change, better or worse. Who knows? Best online shooter, with the exception of Unreal 3. Ruined by the bot invasion. Currently unplayable. Okay, seems they actually did something about the bots, so playable again. Oh, so this one was edited. Yeah, maybe these are all edited. 4,000 hours on record. Oh, that's a good sign. This person's been playing for a while. But once again, posted originally in 2010. Here's a long one. I thought I would get back into TF2. It was one of my favorite games of all time, and it's getting a lot of love lately. I'm sad to say I'm not ready to return. The interface has been added to and changed so much over the years. It's like a Frankenstein's monster. Menus just don't blend well, and there's quite a bit of stuttering. It's just a sloppy mess. The gameplay is still great, but the community is more juvenile than ever before. The worst part is that groups of people can still harass and troll everyone. I've tried kicking highly offensive / idle people, only to be kicked myself. The vote kick tells everyone who called for it, so retaliation is very common. Sorry, Valve, it's been so many years. You should have a handle on this crap. A complete redesign of the menu interface, better vote kicking, groups and matchmaking should only get one combined vote, better anti-cheat, proper elo competitive, a pyro that isn't OP, better performance, less stuttering every time a level loads. Those are the kinds of things that will make me give this game another chance. Maybe next year, Valve. Interesting, very interesting. So here's an example of the negative aspects of, I would say that this is present in most Valve games. A lot of times Valve games can have the effect of creating people who are really invested in games, and they act anti-socially towards people who are a little bit more, I would say, normal. You know, trying to kick someone who is being annoying. The idling thing, I understand, because TF2 has an idling culture where people just idle, and that's okay. And I appreciate it sometimes, because sometimes I just want to leave, get some food or something. And knowing that I can do that in TF2 without getting kicked is actually kind of nice, I think. But in terms of the ELO right there, I don't really know what they mean about pyro and anti-cheat. Those are definitely things that I think are very accurate. I would say. There are aspects to this review that are extremely accurate. Alright, so that does it for that. Critiques, while there weren't a ton, I think that they were very applicable, and I think that they're still applicable to this day, which is super interesting. While on the positive side of things, TF2 has been timeless in its quality, it looks like the criticisms are also somewhat timeless. Bots are a recurrent issue, aspects of the community can be extremely negative, its form of monetization, while in some ways still better than how other modern games are being monetized, it does have the negative aspect of price and gambling. And then of course the ELO, which is something that I haven't even really discussed, and I also fully don't understand, but I know that it's a huge problem that, again, it's not been touched. There's just aspects of this game that are collectively agreed upon to be really bad, but they still exist, and yet people still love this game. Here are 2 comments that I thought were interesting because they actually brought up what it's like to play the game, which is really cool actually. I think it would make sense that you'd want to see reviews where they explain what it's like to play. It's awesome. However, I'd advise you to get used to all the classes in the game. Stealth, heavy weapons, explosives. Be versed in all of them. If you don't, you won't know what to expect your enemies to do. Always be moving, except when it's necessary for you to be absolutely still. Be vigilant, but also loll at people when they die under your actions. Laugh hard, laugh long. Erecting a dispenser. That's a cute little review, although I noticed they only have 80 hours on record. Again, I don't really know what an amount of hours is appropriate for someone to be considered knowledgeable in TF2. I mean, I have for sure hundreds of hours, but myself, I know I'm not very versed in the mechanics or the community or the history, so who knows, maybe they still know more than me. But again, as a review, I think this is a pretty neat review here. I play Medic because no one else will. That's a bit funny. Alright, so I put the longest, most involved reviews in this little area, so we have a lot to talk about here. This is one of the best multiplayer class-based fun you will ever have. So it looks like this one was edited. This single-line review was written 7 years ago now, and even when the market and interest changed over the years, it still holds true. Team Fortress is a timeless classic. Its popularity has come and gone. It's been overshadowed by big company releases. It's had its cold, long spans of time between updates, and frequently it gets tossed into the matchup pot whenever someone puts shooter and class in the same sentence. But despite all that, it's still just as fun for the newer players as it is for the veterans booting up the game for their 1,500th hour of playtime. The game is free, it has rock solid gameplay that's easy to get into, yet hard to truly master, and it has those specific kinds of comedic moments you wouldn't find in many other games due to its well fleshed out characters. There's also hats. So what are you waiting for? This is a beautiful review right here, I think. So once again, this one was edited. It really does cover a lot. And while it's skipping over some of the criticisms of this game, I think that all of these things hold very true, even to this day. Very interesting how that works out, I think. Alright, so unfortunately, I didn't actually print out the whole thing, but we can still read most of it. Best multiplayer game of this decade. Must play. And then it was edited. I went to blank sometime after I made this post. The truth is, the game we have today has very little in common with the game I loved for years. Valve blanked us pretty badly. Started giving the game away free, which always entices the lowest common denominator and blank crowds. And then used it as a psyop to get money out of people by fooling them into believing non-existent goods have inherent value. It's just cancerous. All of the new weapons have made the game incredibly unbalanced and unrewarding. Any character can fulfill just about any role now, unlike the past iterations where being a certain character blank. Alright, while I don't have the entire review here, I think that this review is touching on some interesting ideas. Most of these ideas I think are either outdated or maybe just inaccurate when we're looking at it in the modern day. I mean, the first point that I'm a little bit contentious towards is the free-to-play part. Now, I don't really have an opinion about it either way, because looking at the way Team Fortress is today, no matter what, they would still have the microtransactions. And is the game worth $20? I think yes. So whether or not the game is free to play, I don't really think makes a huge difference personally. I think that in a lot of cases it most likely had to become free to play because that's just the direction that this type of game was heading no matter what. So if you're going to have TF2 valued at $20 competing against other games, what are other shooter games? Fortnite and things like that. Those games are free. So I understand why Valve might have had to do it. Entices the lowest common denominator and blank crowds. I don't understand what the blank crowds is. Maybe it's like racist people or something like that. It's probably more so an issue with Valve's moderation than the types of people being attracted. Either way, I don't know enough to speak on target audience when it comes to a free-to-play game. I mean, what I think of is maybe hackers, because it's a free-to-play game. It's an easy game to get a hold of. You can make a new account easily. So maybe that's part of the crowd. In that way, I can see why that would be a criticism. But again, my brain says it's not an issue whether or not the game is free because it's accessible to hackers. My brain instead says the issue is that it's easy for hackers to do those things, not because it's free, but because there's not enough systems in place to stop the hackers and whatnot. And that clearly seems to be the case because obviously the bot system has been an eternal back and forth between Valve and hackers and whatnot. So I think that more so is the case. I could be wrong though. And then here we go. PSYOP to get money out of people by fooling them into believing non-existing goods have inherent value. So I think this is again just a dated, naive take on everything. Similar to how the positive review was saying, oh, like why would they do this? Why would they give us free updates? It's because it's monetized. And I think that this is similarly naive. The economy is a part of the game, and in some ways I do think it's fun and exciting being able to gamble and potentially spend $2.50 to get something extremely valuable. Morality aside, it can be fun. Do I participate? I try my hardest not to. For me to personally to do that, I'd have to set some really hard rules. While this person does actually have a point, I don't think I buy the way that they're going about it. Fooling people into believing that they have inherent value, I don't think you can say that they're being fooled. People are just spending the money. Is it cancerous? I think that there are parts of it that are extremely negative, probably have really negative consequences on the players of this game, and I think that that is very fair to say. And then the new weapons being unbalanced and unrewarded. I'm wondering if this was at a point in time where that could have been true. In modern day, though, I don't think that that's true. Alright, here's a huge monster review. Well, see the hours I've spent on it, and you'll understand why I'm recommending it. I don't know how TF2 evolved since a year or two, since in reality, it became a trading/hat simulator, where you're spending money or trading just to open crates to get an unusual hat with a great effect. But TF2 is pitching two teams of mercenaries, red and blue, trying to win control points, push a card or steal intel. 9 classes are present. Scout may be fragile, but so fast. Spy can be invisible or disguise himself. Pyro, love and frying everything in sight because, well, check pyro vision. Heavy, slow, very slow, but with the machine gun and with many health points. Medic, weak in terms of weapons, but so useful for healing or some temporary buffs. Soldier, rockets everywhere. Demo man, grenades everywhere. Sniper, making nice holes in your head. Engineer, sentry, teleporter, and dispenser. Each class has different weapons that can be earned by achievements, by being dropped randomly or within crates, or during promotion too. And you can customize your character too. The core of the game is to win rounds. You can switch teams if you want, but well, beware of the auto switch feature. Here, as everything is a parody, being too competitive isn't really, well, seen. You're in TF2 for fun. Generally, the community is noob friendly. I even was in a community that wasn't taking themselves seriously for the matches, and I was an admin of an achievement server for years. TF2 added also the man versus machine mode, which is a co-op mode, where robots are coming by waves. It's up to you to make sure that the bomb doesn't reach the last point. You're a team of 6 with canteens that can contain buffs, like Ubercharge, invincible for a few seconds. You can upgrade your weapons, faster, more ammo, etc. I had a lot of fun in TF2. I'm pretty sure that I'll need some practice before going back on a server, but hey, it's free to play. If you buy a cheap object, you're going to unlock everything. Well, given the fact that I began playing in 2007 with the orange box, I was already a premium player when it became free to play, so I can't confirm it. But hey, it's TF2. There's a lot that this review covered, but I like how in-depth it went. If I was looking at a game and I saw a review like this, I think I probably would think it's very helpful. I think most of it is applicable today. It must have been an updated review because of the MVM mention. Either way, a really nice review that gives a lot of insight on TF2, I think. And this person has a lot of hours in the game, almost 3,000 hours, which is very neat. Alright, now there's 2 areas we have yet to explore. Let's get out of the way the confusing reviews. Most of these reviews that confuse me are just what I'm assuming are different languages, so if anyone has an idea what these reviews say, please let me know. I'm hoping that they are positive. There you go. What about these 2 here? That one there. And this one here. Yeah, please let me know if you know anything about those, but here's one that I can read. It says, it was funny when they said the thing. I don't know which thing that they were referring to. Maybe bonk or like incoming. I think people say that a lot. And here's the little meme room I've created. Now, most of these memes have to do with hats, so we can run through those pretty quickly. It's the best hat collecting simulation ever. Also has a shooting element to it. This game is just beyond pure win. Best war-themed hat simulator ever. It really is the best war-themed hat simulation. Best war-themed hat simulator I've ever played. A war-themed hat simulator. This great game. You build hats and make fortresses explode and shoot rockets sometimes, but mostly trade hats. Greatest hat simulator game. Team Fortress 2 is one of the... Oh, I fell. Team Fortress 2 is one of the best games on PC. You find items, you trade items back, and you never actually play the real game. It's good. Wish it was updated more. Best hat simulator of the century. The best FPS and hat simulator game out there. World's #1 war-themed hat simulator. #1 hat simulator. Used to be full of idiots shooting at each other over a control point or something, but now things have calmed down a bit and everyone just trades hats and earbuds. 10 out of 10. Would trade for hats again. Casual hat fetish enabler. That one's actually pretty funny. Gotta love Barbie Fortress 2. I have fashionable hats for my fashionable classes. It's just fabulous. Hats, guns, and a sexy doctor. Great game. What more needs to be said? Incoming. Buy this game. If you don't have it, buy it now. You should check this game out so I can pwn you. I thought this one was kind of funny because I don't think people really say pwn anymore. Bonk. Sapping my century. I think that's pretty fun. Click here to write a recommendation to all your friends. I think this is a joke because I'm assuming it's like they never wrote a review, they just left the default text in there. And with that, we have read all of the first 100 TF2 reviews as far as I'm aware. Now, I think it was pretty interesting, actually. Most of the things that we read about were still applicable to this day, even the critical aspects of TF2, which honestly, I think is very unique. You probably couldn't say that for a lot of games. In general, I would think most games tend to, over time, get worse. And while you could say that about TF2, that it's gotten worse, there still are good aspects to the game, which I think is really awesome. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you'd like to support these videos, check out my Patreon. There's a $3 tier that gives you access to all of my patron videos. You could also join for free to get text updates on the things that I'm working on. And that is pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.